Welcome to Let's Face It. I'm Lorraine Croston, Wellness Coach. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Michelle Butt, who is a facial intelligence coach. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Lorraine.
I'm so glad you could come.
Thanks for having me.
I have to ask, because I'm sure that this is not something that's happened before, but what exactly is a facial intelligence coach?
Well, what I do is I help people to understand how they communicate with the world and with others by using the face as the platform for that understanding.
And I understand also that the whole facial intelligence, you combine it with something. So you're also...
Yeah, so I call myself a strategic communications coach, so I help people understand how to communicate with others and communicate with themselves, and the face is the platform.
What is it that you are, what are you searching for? What is it that you're looking at? I mean, everyone's got a face, so
yeah,
what is it about
totally.
the whole...
Well, every feature, marking, wrinkle on the face has meaning, and it speaks to a person's innate personality, their behavioral tendencies, the way they make decisions, how their life experiences have impacted their lives, even how events in their childhood may have shaped their story. So really the face tells the story of who a person is and how they've responded to life and life experiences. And so that is the platform for understanding yourself and understanding others.
Okay, so I can understand the life experiences sort of showing up on your face, but you said something else. It was, you could tell their personality types from... How do you do that? So what is it that you look for?
Well, each feature has a meaning, and each feature is associated with a certain behavioral trait. So, for example, eyebrows tell us how somebody makes decisions. They tell us how driven and competitive someone is, how they may be prone to anger or frustration, how self-confident they may be. So when you look at someone's eyebrows, you can get all of that information just from the shape, length, thickness of that person's eyebrows.
Okay, you're talking eyebrows. So we got to do this. So there's my eyebrows. So what would you say about mine?
Your eyebrows tell me that when you make decisions, you make them based on a people-centered approach. So you think of what's logical, but what's also best for everyone concerned. And you also have very high standards. So you hold yourself to high standards and you hold others to high standards.
Okay. So what about your eyebrows? Because they're very, very different from mine. So.
Yeah. My eyebrows are more on the straighter side, and they're very thick and long. So the length says that I'm able to deal with more personality types. So I am really good at working with lots of people, and that they're straight. So most of the time I'm looking for the logical outcome. So what makes sense here? And it's not that I'm not people-centered, because there's lots of other things on my face that have that people-centered approach. But in terms of decisions, I'm thinking, does this make the most sense? And that's where I go. But because they're straight and thick, it also means that I need to take time to make the decision. So I'm not a fast decision maker. You need to give me time to weigh it. So if you're coming up to me and you're selling me something, if you say you have to make a decision in the next 5 minutes and I don't have all the facts, then I'm not going to make a decision, or I'm going to be stressed about it. If you came to me and you said, here's this wonderful thing, I'll give you everything you need, all the facts, and then why don't you sit on it and I'll call you in an hour or two and see if it's the right thing for you. That is my comfort space.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And then I'm definitely, okay, I've had some time to think about this, then I'm more likely to buy. So just even from if you're in a sales or a business environment, just understanding those differences with people can help you go a long way in changing your results. And for you, it would be, okay, you need to say, okay, is this really good for everybody that's concerned? So I want to position things like, oh, this wonderful product will be good for you, for your family. Here are all the details. It's, the quality is exceptional, blah, blah, blah. So all those kinds of things that help you feel comfortable in making a decision. Because face reading is based on Chinese medicine, so it's diagnosis by observation. So 3,000 years ago, when you came to a healer to fix a physical problem, they looked for patterns, especially in the face, to see if they could identify a change in any facial feature or marking that might indicate a physical pattern that could indicate the source of the illness. And so in doing that, they mapped out acupuncture and all of the healing arts that are now the strong Eastern medicine. But during that same diagnostic process, what they saw was patterns in features that spoke to personality and behavior and reactions to life experiences. And so that became the cataloging of what is now facial intelligence for me. And so even though, eyebrows may be associated with a warrior archetype, everyone has eyebrows. So not everyone is a strong warrior, but it still helps you understand how you make decisions. There's the sage, the captivator, the nurturer, and the royal.
What determines a warrior? What not necessarily on the facial feature, but what are the characteristics of these?
Well, warriors are people with strong jaws, strong eyebrows. So these are your change agents, the doers of the world, right? The people who are very driven, and the movers and the shakers. A sage is very much like what that says, is the wise person, the intuitive, the very deep, creative, musical souls. Those are normally sages. Captivators are your red hair, freckles, the very engaging, loving life, loving fun.
Party animals.
Yeah, but also just really, really open, great networkers, and just really good with people, but for the short term. And then you have your nurturers, who are, anything full and round on the face is a nurturer, and those are your moms, that, that taking care of people, wanting to feed them, normally the chefs of the world, and really the people who get things done and stay for the long haul. And then the royals are very regal and, fine bone structure, prominent nose. Those are some of the features associated with them. And they are very environmentally sensitive, detail-oriented, very, can see the big picture and the details all at the same time. So your surgeons and people who work with precision.
And it's one of these things that it also helps with a little bit of self-discovery, isn't it? Do you find that with with the people that you work with?
Definitely. The transformation, whether or not you come to me for personal or business, the transformation always ends up being personal as well, because you see yourself in a different light and you understand, oh yeah, that is me. Sometimes I have a friend who's very royal, and she always calls herself a recovering perfectionist. And I keep trying to say to her that your perfectionism is part of your emotional DNA, and it's not something that you have to apologize for, because it helps you to see all the details that not everybody sees. And she's a financial planner, so you want a detailed, oriented perfectionist managing your money. So now she looks at herself differently and says, okay, well, it serves me to be that. And but sometimes in her other life it doesn't, because at home things don't always have to be perfect, or that can stress her out. So she understands, okay, there are degrees and places where it's appropriate to wear that hat, and where it's okay to just let go and let someone else take on the details. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned when we were talking before, not necessarily today, but you talked about the fact that the emotions on the inside get represented on the outside. I mean, I can understand the facial features you're born with, and that life happens, and that they affect you, but you're also saying that it's the internal, what's going on the inside, really does come out. So how does that, how does that work? Or
well, the most prominent place you see that is with wrinkles and markings, right? So there are certain wrinkles that show up that are early warning signs, which will tell you that you have a pattern of behavior that may not necessarily be serving you, or it's making you feel a certain way. And then once they show up, it gives you an opportunity to potentially look at, okay, why am I feeling that way? And can I change some of that? Or is that just part of who I am now? So it's becoming part of my story. There are certain wrinkles we're supposed to get, and we want them there, and they become part of our story. So really, our face is a reflection of our inner being, and it is our unconscious offering to the world to say, hey, this is me in this moment. And so even changes in features, so thinning of features or changes in thickness or shape, reflects a change in your emotional state.
Well, you mentioned wrinkled, and of course wrinkles is the bane of women's existence, apparently. But you're saying you want to have, which wrinkles do you want to have?
Well, the ones that come to mind firstly are, here in the West we call these fine lines that show up around our eyes, we call them crow's feet. But in Chinese medicine, they're called joy lines. So those are the ones we're supposed to get. You want to see those showing up. That says, I'm living joyfully, I'm happy, I smile a lot, I feel good a lot of the time. Those aren't the ones you want to Botox out. Because then you're taking away that joy, and you have to keep recreating it. And if you don't have the ability to physically make the expression, then you can't translate the emotion.
If you had one tip that you'd want to share, what would that be?
I think if you're looking in the mirror and you're not sure why something is showing up. So for example, if a new wrinkle shows up, or if there's a marking on your face, or a thinning of a feature like an eyebrow that you don't understand, then when you're alone, not when you're out in public, because you don't want people thinking you're crazy, a good tip is to put a little bit of Scotch tape over the area, and then keep it on for half an hour or so. And every time you feel that tape pull, then stop and think, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? Because it's that emotion or that thought that is causing the expression to be created, that is creating the change on the face.
Essentially what you offer is a combination of the facial intelligence and learning the communication style, and how to actually know the best way to speak to somebody and to appeal to them, and to get that communication that's going to be the most effective.
Right.
That's great.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I learned a whole bunch of things. I'm hoping that our viewers, and for today I'm actually not going to do a close-up of Let's Face It, because the entire interview was talking about facial features. So thank you very, very much, Michelle. It was really great having you on the show. I'm Lorraine Croston, and this is Let's Face It.